Thank you for being part of our fourth quarter 2020 College of Arts and Science Colloquium series and for joining us for this presentation titled An Action Plan for Faculty Self-Wellness. I would like to welcome our presenter, Kathryn Sellers, who is an associate faculty member in the College of Arts and Sciences in the Department of Behavioral Science. Kathryn has worked for Ashford University since 2012 and has more than 2 decades of experience in her field. In her career, she has worked with drug addicts, alcoholics, battered women, juvenile delinquents, and neglected children. While she enjoyed her many years of counseling others, when she stepped into the classroom and years later into the virtual classroom, she knew she had found her true calling. She earned her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from the University of Montevallo and her Master's of Arts in Psychology from Auburn University at Montgomery, and she hails from Millerville, Alabama. Kathryn Sellers asks, why do airlines tell us to put our oxygen mask on first before helping others? It is because we can't help others if we don't take care of ourselves first. This message is especially important to us today as we try to navigate a world with new rules and expectations. Referred to as self-care or self-wellness, taking care of ourselves is crucial in all aspects of our lives, our jobs, family, and friends. This session will deliver an important message on how to modify your behaviors and thought patterns to focus on you. And now, Professor Sellers.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for letting me be part of your day today. And hopefully I'll have some new ideas, all based on things that we all know. I was putting this together and I was like, gosh, if this was a class of students, it'd be easy, right? But I'm talking to people who are well-versed in what I'm talking about today. But just like students know about time management, sometimes it's just healthy just to remind ourselves and like kind of re-energize ourselves as to why the things that we've always known all our lives, really we need to kind of like grok back into it and figure that out and how it can help us today. So we're going to get started. And right now I'm going to have us do something that I don't hardly ever do, but we are going to take 45 seconds. Choose one of these stretches, any one of them. I'm going to recommend you not do the last one because you might not come back up if you're me. But choose one, and we're just going to take, like I said, 45 seconds starting now. So either one that you want. And I don't do the forward bend because it makes my head rush. But choose one and let's do it. Okay, I hope you took the few seconds to enjoy that. It was a little less than 45 seconds. But one of the things that came to me, this particular slide came to me through an email from a faculty mentor who said, you know what, I think it's her 7th grade son, his teacher does this online every day. They have to choose a stretch and they have to start their day with that. And so her goal, and she emailed all of us, is like, I'm going to do this after grading 5 papers. And then I'm going to like take a break and I'm going to do a stretch. And I think it's just important. Sometimes it's setting something on your phone and just reminding us it's time to take care of you. So an important question for each of you on the call today, or if you're listening at a later time, are you willing to be a lobster? Years ago, as a substance abuse counselor, we would do this big presentation to all our clients about the importance of how, in order to grow, you kind of have to put yourself vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there in a situation maybe you don't really want to be in, you're not comfortable being in it, but if you want to grow, you've got to put yourself there. There's a great YouTube video, and the link is in the references, and this guy speaks for not even a minute and a half, and explaining that a lobster, his stimulus for growth is a sense of feeling uncomfortable. Just like this presentation may make you feel somewhat uncomfortable when I ask you to become more selfish. So I hope that you'll just hang on with me and let me explain. So today we are going to just kind of start with the basics, like you would with any time you have a good conversation, is you want to define terms so that we're all on the same page. And then we're going to answer a question. Is it wrong to be selfish? Hopefully this answer will surprise you. And then we're going to have a 5-step action plan that when you walk away from today's session, you'll be able to have a plan. Maybe you'll accept a challenge that you want to do something in your life that'll make you happier. So the first term I wanted to talk off with is self-care. Self-care, I think none of us have a problem with this term, right? We all understand that taking care of ourselves is important. And self-care encompasses many different areas. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it can include physical, running, exercising, stretching, psychological, emotional, spiritual, social, or professional. We're going to talk about those a little bit later, but this is kind of when we talk about self-care, it can be in any one of these areas. And you could probably think of other areas as well, but I decided to stick with these 6. So now let's look at the term wellness. And there's been a lot of research, but there's not like a one specific definition. There's several. I mean, you can go to Mayo Clinic and find their definition of wellness all over the place. But the 2 that I found that I kind of liked, and then I thought we could compare them, the Global Wellness Institute, they describe wellness as the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. Wellness defined by the National Wellness Institute is also an active process through which people become aware of and make choices toward a more successful existence. So putting these 2 together, we see the common themes: active, making choices, improving life, having a successful existence, and self-responsibility. As I was going through this presentation and tweaking it last night, I thought, man, this reminds me of a SMART goal, because I'm sure some of you out there have probably taught those classes before, where you teach students how to write SMART goals. And we teach it, I teach it, I don't always do it. I don't know, I try to, like, every time I'm teaching a class that has this, like, okay, Kathryn, let's create us a SMART goal this time. But I think about when I teach the SMART goal concept, you have to, it's not like, I hope I'm going to be, a better runner, or I hope I'm going to be better in the classroom. That's not active, right? We teach active. I will do this. I will make a choice. I will improve my life. I will take self-responsibility. So we're going to tie all this in as we go through the presentation today. Now, selfish. Oh, this is a tough one. Every time we hear, you're so selfish, we think of it in terms of selfish at the expense of others. But the true definition of selfish is concern with yourself, not at the expense of others. When you're selfish and you take advantage of others, that's wrong, right? But when you're selfish and you take care of yourself by putting yourself first, that's okay. And I feel it as when I say it, it's like, I don't want to be called selfish. It's how we define the term. And I'm sure many of you, and I wish I can't really see, but if you have questions, I certainly hope you're posting them in the chat box so we can review this a little bit later. But concern with yourself always reminds me of, if you are running yourself ragged, if you are teaching 1,000 classes and you're raising your children and you're taking care of a sick parent or a neighbor, and then your neighbor comes by and goes, hey, can you take my kid to school today? It's like, what? And then you feel obligated to say yes, because if you say no to your neighbor, you're being selfish, because that's what we've learned. No, it's not. It's okay to take care of yourself. Because if you do that one extra task, take your neighbor's child to school, that might mean that if maybe you're too tired because you had to get up early, so maybe you have an accident. It's all these things that can roll down the hill. You have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. So let's look at this, unless I'm sure most everyone here has flown, maybe not recently, but every time I fly, which I do fly a lot, and I have flown recently, they always say, should we lose cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop. Please place the mask over your own mouth before assisting others. And this is, again, not a comfortable thing, because you want to take care of the person with you, as someone who's not able to, maybe a child or someone older or someone that needs assistance. But if you don't put your oxygen mask first, if you're trying to help someone else, Well, maybe you pass out and then you didn't get the other person's mask on because you've passed out. So now both of you are passed out, right? So that is why we have to take care of ourselves first. And this is really easy because this has been, again, if you've ever flown, this is like just kind of beaten into us every single time, right? So we all know, of course, if I'm in a plane and I'm putting mine on first because they've told us 1,000 times. They've told us and told us and told us, so now we would do it. But the same thing comes back when that neighbor asks you to take her child to school because of whatever reason, and you've got all these other things. How comfortable would you be saying no to that? So I want to take this in a little bit different direction because we're all faculty or administrators. We work with students here today. And we're going to look at how it's okay to be a selfish teacher. I'm a real big proponent of Albert Bandura. I mean, I think if I could have met any particular psychologist, it would have been him and Rodder, because I just believe everything that they say, and everything that they say is all about self-responsibility. They believe in free will, and they believe the importance of empowering people, not enabling. So what are some ways we need to be selfish with students? And I'm going to tell you, I am guilty of not doing a lot of these things, okay? But you know, when students email you a question like, how many points do I need to pass the class? Well, you know, if you're an adjunct faculty member, you might teach for different schools. And in your mind, it might be, oh, well, 70 is it. Well, some schools, it's a 78. Some schools, it's a 75. Some schools, it's, you know, some schools, it's 60. So I made the mistake years ago where I would say, oh, you only need a 60 to pass this class. Well, I was wrong, because this particular student was at a school that had different general education requirements. Like, I think this particular student was a nursing student, and she had to have a 78 in her gen ed classes. Everybody else in class, if they weren't nursing students, they needed a 70. So I finally at that point said, whoa, I'm not going to make this mistake again. So I would, at that point, again, this is I've been doing this for a long time. I would actually stop what I was doing. I would download the catalog. I would ask the student what her major was, and then I thought, you know what, Kathryn, they need to know this because they're taking one class with me, but they're going to take another class with another instructor, and maybe that's going to be a nursing class, and maybe in that class they have to have an 85%. I mean, I can't, as their one instructor, give them that information. It's that whole adage, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. So helping your students go back into their syllabus, like say, you know what, I'm not sure what your major is, and I'm not exactly sure, but why don't you check your syllabus? If you can't find your syllabus, let me know and I'll direct you there. You know, how many points do I need? Again, I've actually been guilty of going in the grade book, looking at the student's points and going, okay, we've got this many points to earn. If she gets 10% off, that's because it's late, but she can still submit it because it's within, and then calculating all of that. And I'm like, finally, you know, I said to the student who asked me this recently, I said, well, how many points do you currently have? Look at the syllabus. How many points do you need to pass? How many points are available? And how many, you know, and if you have questions, if you have problems with that calculation, let me know. I'm happy to help them, but I want them to help me, you know, meet me halfway. And this is also a good one. Why did I get such and such grade on my last assignment? I mean, it's like, oh, I mean, we spend hours on feedback, don't we? I mean, hours. I mean, it's like, sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, I think I'm giving them so much feedback. And then they email me and it's like, gosh, well, did you see my feedback? So my response is, did you see my feedback? And if you have trouble seeing my feedback in the grade book, let me know and I can direct you there. And then the conversation will keep going. I never shut them down. I never say, I'm not going to tell you to go look in the syllabus. I say, you know, why don't you look in the syllabus? And if you can't find it, let me know and I'll help you. If you don't understand how to do the calculations, come to me with the numbers. I'll help you get those. I'll help you figure it out. Being a selfish teacher, it actually allows you to flourish in your engagement with students. It frees up your time instead of me going to the catalog, downloading the catalog. And you know what? And when you do that, you might actually download a catalog. Maybe they enrolled 3 years ago, so their catalog is different, right? So I mean, you really can't. You spend hours and then still get it wrong. So when it frees up your time to do what we love to do, we love to teach. I love psychology. I love helping students learn the concepts. It makes me happy. it actually energizes you. When I'm in the classroom and I'm doing what I love doing, it just really opens up my world for me. This particular, like 2 weeks ago, I had a class where the students were talking about stress, and the things they used in the book, it talked about learned helplessness. So the students go, oh, well, I relied on learned helplessness, and they completely misunderstood the concept. So it actually just allowed me to teach and to help them, like, oh my gosh, you're so right, I completely misunderstood it. And so it's like those kinds of conversations, I think, really help us as faculty love what we do and continue to thrive in our teaching environment. It helps you to focus on your goals. It also empowers students and teaches them to ask for help. A colleague of mine, who's maybe on the call today, I can't see, recently had a student who emailed her and said, hey, I don't understand this assignment. Okay, well, my friend said, well, what assignment? First of all, she responded back. She goes, okay, well, what class are you in? And which week and which assignment in that week do you need? So the student responded back and said, I'm in whatever, Psych 100, but didn't say the assignment and didn't say which. So my friend said it took like first thing in the morning all the way to the end of the day for her to get the student to really identify what she didn't understand about the assignment. And actually, by the time the student went back and looked at all these things, by the end of the conversation at the end of the day, she said, oh, never mind, professor, I figured it out. I know the answer now. So it was, but my colleague, our colleague, she was able to direct this student and figure out how to help the student help herself. I've done it before. I've been guilty where a student would email me and say, I don't understand the assignment. I assumed she meant for week 2 because that's where we were. Nope, she meant for week 1. And so I spent probably 20 minutes giving her all these ways to approach assignment 2 when she responded back and was like, no, that wasn't the one I meant. I'm like, oh my stars, Kathryn, you know better than this. So it's really important that we become a little more selfish. So let's look at an action plan. First, you have to accept the challenge to put yourself first. If you're not willing to do that, this may not work as well as you want it to. And then you identify that need. And we're going to look at those areas, identify those in the beginning. We're going to look at those a little more deeply. And then we are going to set a SMART goal. And I'm going to ask you to do it. I'm going to ask you to put yourself out there and write something in the chat box. And then you're going to be challenged to take action and then assess your success in 30 days. So before, again, you got to be ready. And I hope you are typing in the chat box. Are you ready? You have to know that you're ready to put your mask on first. And think about this. How does it feel to say yes to this? Yes, I'm ready to put myself first. Why do you think so many of us hesitate to even acknowledge they will do this? I have students when I teach these lessons come up. I can't do it. No, I could never do it. I could never do it. And we start talking about, well, you can, and it's okay. And they finally begin to understand, but it's a really hard concept for many of us to accept. I'm going to assume that all of y'all said, yes, I'm ready, Kathryn. So first of all, we're going to identify an area. And what you're going to see is that I've highlighted physical because that's the one that I always work on. And so I figured this will be an easy one for me to set a goal for today. So either if you want to type in the chat box, or if you just want to write it down next to your computer, choose one of the following areas that you want to focus on this month. This is all about you. It's not about me. Again, if you're looking at physical, maybe you want more sleep. Maybe you want to eat less sugar. Who wants to eat less sugar? Maybe you need more exercise. Whatever that physical goal might be, maybe it's physical. Maybe you'd rather focus on something like psychological or emotional. And basically, this is just getting in touch with your goals, being aware of your feelings and being comfortable in expressing those appropriately. Do you ever go to bed and go at night and go, gosh, I just wish I hadn't have been so short with my husband, my girlfriend, my friend, my colleagues. If you do, then you might want to dig a little deeper into this. And I know we're running out of time, but I have a great example here, a great story. A really good friend of mine from high school. We've been actually friends since before first grade. She recently was diagnosed with a very aggressive stage breast cancer, but they caught it like immediately. And within 10 days, I think she had had a double mastectomy and they took it out, and it had gone from stage 0 to stage 1 in that time. In like 10 days, it went that quickly. So, but lately she's been feeling depressed and angry and sad and frustrated. And we talked the other day, and she's like, Kathryn, I'm snapping at people. I mean, I'm mean to people who were kind to me, and I should be nothing but grateful. And I want to be sweet, Pam. I don't want to be snappy, mean Pam. And, it's just, first of all, I think she has to forgive herself. I mean, I think the first person sometimes we have to forgive is ourselves. And so we talked about that. But if you start feeling like if you're acting in a way that's what you don't like, then you need to question why. What are you doing? And of course, we all know that's cognitive dissonance, right? You're doing something, but you don't believe in what you're doing. So then you kind of have to change that. And I think part of her changing is changing her thought process, that she shouldn't be angry, that she shouldn't be frustrated. And so we talked a little bit about that. And so I think those are things that are important. If you have those kinds of feelings, then think about why. What happened that I'm doing this? Spiritual is a bigger picture, purpose in life. Who am I? What is my purpose in life? Am I doing what makes me flourish, what makes me really happy? Maybe that's an area you want to focus on. Social, being involved with others without conflict, finding what you need from others. Examples for me, when all the stuff in 2020 happened, COVID and the politics and the this and the that, I was all about social media. I was all about putting my views out there, and I was mad at people who didn't believe like I believed, and I was frustrated and I was angry. And like my friend, did not feel good about myself, did not feel good about things I was saying to my friends. So I finally had to say, that's it, Kathryn, out. You're out. You're so out. To the point that actually another friend of mine, when I became that way, she got really angry at me because I didn't care anymore. And I said, I do care. I just don't want that feeling of conflictedness in my life. I still care. The issues are still important to me, but I've got to move on, and I can't keep going down that rabbit hole, because one day I'm going to go down that rabbit hole and I'm not going to come back up. So I think this maybe becomes knowing what are your hot spots and then reducing those in your life. Maybe professional, reality check. Are you fulfilled with your career? If not, what would make you happier? Would it be creating new announcements? Again, a colleague who's my friend Jeremy, who's on the call today, we got really inspired about, this past year, learning how to do new announcements and making them engaging, and really kind of beefed up. Because if y'all have been teaching like I have for years, sometimes you just go, oh, there's my announcement, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, and you don't even think about it anymore. So I think sometimes it's just like getting back into whatever that makes you happy. Would it be starting that jewelry business? What is it that writing that children's book you've always thought about doing? And there's also intellectual. Accept a challenge. Continue to pursue new ideas. Willing to challenge yourself. For example, signing up for an Ashford presentation months in advance, and then right before figured out, oh my gosh, I got to do this and get it done. But you challenge yourself. You accept that challenge, and you feel better than anything on the planet. For me, when you set a challenge and you meet it, but there's all kinds of ways you can accept those intellectual challenges. Maybe getting involved with another professor who's working on research and saying, hey, I'll be your runner. I'll do all whatever the petty work just to help you get involved and get active there. All right, so here's my SMART goal. If you want to share, I would love for you guys to talk about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. But start by putting yourself first. So I will put myself first by, and if you're going to do this action plan, I am going to encourage you to start your SMART goal this way. I will put myself first by stretching 3 times a day, 5 days a week for 5 minutes from November 10th to December 10th. I'm going to do it, right? I am going to do it. I've already done it once, but only for like 45 seconds a day. So I've got a little bit more to go. But yeah, starting today, I've got this, I've actually printed this, the thing off that I showed you, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to keep going until at the end of December 10th. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more relaxed, and maybe I'll stretch a little more, and maybe I'll be a little more flexible. So here we're going to end with, this is how I'm going to achieve my goal. And then of course the references are the last slide. So I did this I have 5 minutes to spare. So I am ready for questions and answers. And I guess I should stop the share maybe.
Yes, so there's a couple questions. Well, one, Michael Robinson wanted to know if we could share this PowerPoint at the end of the presentation, and we can go ahead and put that in the chat for everyone. Christy had said, I love this on being selfish teacher. There are great time-saving strategies when students question their grade. I always ask if they have read the feedback first. If a student questions a grade, I ask the student to review their own assignment and highlight the areas where they think they addressed it and send it back to me. So far, I've never had a student return it.
Love that.
Michelle agreed. Stephanie said, this is such a great list, really helpful to think through these various areas instead of only physical, etc. well-being. Thank you for addressing this holistic manner. Joni said, my SMART goal is I will put myself first by saying one positive thing about myself each day. That's great. Just a lot of thank you. So Paul, do you recommend starting with small goals? Often I seem not to follow through with large goals.
Okay, yes, I do. And here's the thing. I actually took it off. So I actually have a real, like a long-term goal. And my long-term goal is to run a half marathon by February the 13th is when the actual, the marathon is. I'm trying, so the way you do that is you set little, remember that movie with baby steps? I forget the name of the movie. But yeah, so you have a big goal. I want to run a half marathon by February 20th or whatever the date was. Now you have little goals. So between then and there, I'm going to have a goal of running 3 times a week. And that even gets more specific. I'm going to run with a group on Saturday. I'm going to run with my friend Susan on, I think we do Tuesday mornings, and then we're going to go out and have coffee. And then I'm going to run with my friend Joni on Wednesday afternoons. And so so you have these little goals that support the big goal. So yes, I do think it's important to have, that's why the stretching goal for me is actually kind of a small goal, because it's something you kind of do every day and it's little by little. And I definitely say, don't try to change everything. I do have a lot of girlfriends. I feel like my driver's ed teacher had all these, all these people. But she, again, high school girlfriend, just got diagnosed with diabetes and having heart issues. And her doctor's like, well, you've got to do this and this and this and this. It's like, Stephanie, take a step back. Do one thing. If it's, switch out your iced tea for half a glass of water. Do one thing. Don't say, I'm going to completely cut out sugar. I'm going to completely cut out processed foods, because that's why, I think that's why a lot of doctors, and this is going to be part of my conversation. Sometimes when we have a problem, and that's actually what the rabbi said in his whole little video, he said, if lobsters were humans, they would never grow, because when humans start feeling uncomfortable, we go to the doctor and he's like, oh, well, here's a pill. And we're like, oh, okay, we'll take the pill. Then we go back and crawl into our little hole. And I see this with doctors all the time. Again, my girlfriend who's diagnosed with cancer, her doctor said, don't worry about changing your diet right now. What? What do you mean don't worry about changing your diet right now? Yes, you do need to change your diet right now. My girlfriend who has diabetes, her doctor's like, well, we'll give you some medication. I had high cholesterol about 5 years ago. The doctor said, well, here, you can't eat, you can't do it. No one can do it. You just have to have a pill. And I'm like, and I remember I was in Walmart. I actually filled the cholesterol medication. And I was walking around, of course, been trained with Bandura, and I remember thinking, wait, I can do this. I saw those commercials. I lowered my cholesterol. Why does he think I can't do this? So I actually called my regular doctor that I see once a year, and I said, okay, give me somebody else. I need somebody who believes I can do it. And the bigger question, I think, is why do doctors go there? And I'm thinking, well, maybe they've been doctoring for 50 years. Maybe when they first started out, they were they believed in people and they believed that people could change. And maybe they just saw so many people who didn't change. And so they're fine. Yeah, I can't, you're going to have to eat like a rabbit and you won't eat like a rabbit. Yeah, I will, but I think maybe that happens to doctors. I'm not blaming the doctors, but maybe they've seen so many people not follow through, so many people who prefer the pill. And let me tell you, if you could give me a pill and make me, 15 pounds lighter, yeah, I'd take it, right? But not really. So I think that's part of it. So to answer your question, and I know I'm kind of long-winded, but yes, I think having a big goal, but supported by little goals so that you can get those rewards along the way and reward yourself. Again, like when I go running with my girlfriend in the morning on Susan, we go to Starbucks, we allow ourselves that one day to have a Starbucks. And, I'm going to do a jingle bell run in December and I'm going to get a t-shirt. So, you know, those little goals along the way, I do it for the swag. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing them because I'm not down here.
Debbie said just such good advice. If we go too far one extreme, we end up feeling like we failed.
Yes.
Paul said, awesome. I love the rewards. Debbie also said, you're so real and relatable. Is there any other questions for Kathryn in her presentation on self-love?
I do have a question for y'all. Are y'all ready to put yourself first? Are you ready to put your mask on? I need to see, yes, I am. Yeah, I'm calling y'all.
All right. Oh, wonderful. Yes, people, they're ready. The crowd is ready.
Awesome.
Wonderful. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much, Professor Sellers, for this timely presentation, and to everyone for attending this colloquium. Please complete the follow-up survey, which has been posted in the chat. The recording of this presentation will be available at the AU CETL Colloquium page, and we'll be sure to send out this PowerPoint as well for everyone that has attended and is interested. Stay tuned to your email inboxes, the CETL website, and the CETL social media for details about the next CAS Colloquium on November 17th with Dr. Jacqueline Chinapi, who will present working from home with new coworkers, our children. Tune in to learn more about work-life balance when you work from home, as well as we have been met with unprecedented times. Our remote offices have also been met with unprecedented coworkers, our kids. With more schools transitioning to remote or hybrid learning, we are now sharing our workspace with our children. Learn how to successfully find work-life balance without burning out and ensuring a productive work setting. Stay healthy, everyone, stay happy, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey, they're asking for the link. I don't know if you see that or not.
I'll do it one more time. I'll go ahead and throw that in there for everyone. Here we go. And the link is there again. So please fill this out, and we hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thank you. Take care of you.